Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 85. Today we're talking about bulletproofing your loose leash walking, which is critical if you're a dog owner. And there's nothing more painful than a dog pulling hard on the leash. We've all been there. If you're a dog trainer, you've been there before you were a dog trainer. You know what I'm saying? You know that a dog pulling hard on the leash, that's going to affect your shoulder, your arms, your shoulders, not just one, but both of them, because you're going to have to switch arms because it's so intense, or maybe you have to hold with both arms. You know what I'm saying?
Your pride,
your shoulders, your arms, your back, basically everything, every part of your body, depending on the size of your dog. Like there's this guy in my old neighborhood, which you've seen him. He had this boonie hat. He walked his pit bull every day, and he had a big harness on it and a big, thick rope on it. And if you were coming by, he'd have to literally post himself up, like get into a squatting position, hold on to that rope, sometimes wrap it around his body, because this dog's like going crazy trying to pull at you.
At least he's aware.
He's aware of it, yeah.
Other people at the farmer's market, they just drop the leash. Oh, see you later.
So, I mean, that's affecting that dude's whole body and his, like, life. You know, it's like every time you're walking, which thank God that dude was dedicated. He's walking his dog. But every time you're walking, you have to be ready to, like, post up immediately and then just sit there and squat, you know, to hold your dog back.
And they're not even enjoyable at that point.
I know. Yeah. Exactly. But leash pulling can also damage your dog's trachea. It can damage your dog's back, their spine, their nervous system, because the nervous system is connected to the spine. You see what I'm saying? It can increase your frustration, which can cause you to push negative energy to your dog. It can also increase your dog's frustration, which can cause reactivity and redirection, all these types of things. So the list goes on and on. We all know that overall leash pulling is not good to go. And if you know us, you know when we say it's not good to go, you know it's serious. You know what I'm saying? So today we're going to give you 5 easy steps to take action to resolve and bulletproof your dog's leash pulling effective immediately. So if you start these protocols today, it's going to help you take action and resolve and bulletproof your dog's leash pulling and stop that leash pulling and be able to enjoy life and enjoy your walks. You see what I'm saying? We're also going to cover some of the primary troubleshooting steps you might need to take for problems encountered in the process and in leash pulling in general. One thing about these steps in this process, it's not only going to make your dog a loose leash walker, it's also going to teach your dog to follow the leash. And the leash is going to become a guide for you, for your dog, right? So you can use your leash to guide your dog around. It's going to teach your dog that the leash is not something to pull against, but to go with, to flow with. See what I'm saying? Something else important to note is that that we only desensitize opposition reflex in regards to a leash and a training collar, not with a harness. So basically what that means is we're going to teach your dog to walk loosely and follow a leash in regards to a training collar on their neck, but not with the harness. And the reason for that is we're going to use a harness for specialty training. So we want our dogs to feel comfortable pulling into the harness. We want them to be comfortable pulling into that harness if they feel tension on the harness. But if they feel a leash on a collar on their neck, that they know to have a loose leash. All right? So the way that a harness could be used, it could be used to build up drive in a dog. So we want to preserve that. We want the dog to be comfortable pulling into a harness. Something else to keep in mind is, just like we always say, don't rush the process. Take your time. Trust the process. Trust the process, right? These steps aren't going to be done in a single day. It's going to take multiple days, multiple sessions. But if you can trust the process, if you can take your time, then you'll be good to go. But I do want to talk real quick about why do dogs even pull on the leash? Every mammal has opposition reflex, from humans to dogs to squirrels. Threw that one out there. Every mammal has opposition reflex, even chickens. I know that for a fact because if I push on my chicken, it wants to push back. You see what I'm saying? I have lots of chickens too. So I have lots of experience. That's right. Trained chickens.
And the guineas.
And the guineas. Every mammal has opposition reflex. So from the first time you put a leash on your puppy, that puppy is going to learn to pull on that leash due to the natural opposition reflex. So the way this works is you get a puppy, you put a leash on them, As soon as your puppy feels tension into the leash that's going in your direction, just think of your puppy as like an object, right? You put a leash on it, the leash is facing away from the puppy towards you. That leash gets tight. The puppy's going to want to pull the opposite direction of the leash. So if we don't stop that opposition reflex, it's going to continue to compound until it turns into a serious leash puller. Like that guy in my old neighborhood with the big dog, he had to basically squat to maintain control of that dog, right? So we can stop this from day one by desensitizing opposition reflex with our puppy as soon as we get it, right? But if we don't have this knowledge and we have an older dog, it's still okay because we can resolve it with an older dog as well through the action steps we're going to give you today. So again, you can take action on day one with your puppy to prevent the leash pulling, or if you have an older dog that's already a leash puller, the knowledge is going to apply to you to stop that leash pulling and create that loose leash walker we all dream about. We all dream about a dog that's chilling on the leash, not pulling our arm out of our socket. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to give you 5 action steps, maybe a bonus step if you're lucky, so you'll have to stick around and listen and see if you're lucky enough to get that bonus step, right? So the first step is going to be establishing engagement. And basically what this is teaching your dog to pay attention to you. Because if you take your dog outside, for example, and your dog is not wanting to pay attention to you, it's not going to reason why it needs to pay attention to you. So it's not going to be looking at you or giving you any peace of mind. It's going to immediately start pulling away from you on that leash. You're going to get frustrated. You're not going to be having a good time, so far and so forth. So the first step is to establish engagement. And what we do for this is we basically have some food rewards. We take a dog out to our training area on leash. And anytime they give us eye contact, we're going to say good. And we're going to let them have a food reward from us. All right, that's the very bare bones basics. So you got to go out to a training area like your yard, have your dog on a leash, wait for your dog to give you eye contact even for a second, half second, 1/4 second, 0.1 second, any seconds, just a glance. And as soon as they do that, you're going to say good, give them a reward. As time goes on, that's going to be compounded to where they're going to want to look at you. They're going to look at you for longer. Once you have that engagement, which is sustained eye contact, sustained focus, where they're wanting to look at you for more than that 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 seconds, half a second, you know what I'm saying? Sustained. Once you have that, then you can go to step number 2. So that is the quick explanation of engagement. Kevin, what do you have to kind of add on to that?
I mean, I think it's just important to, we talked about it in a previous podcast, but not skipping steps, right? So engagement is going to be extremely important to establish, but you may not be able to do it outside. You may have to start inside. You may have to just do it with their meal inside the home, right? Because outside there's a lot of competing motivators. They may just be looking all around.
Right.
I can't tell you how many people I see that try to redirect their dog's pulling, going crazy at the end of the leash, and they say, hey, Cujo, and it turns around and comes and gets the food reward. Well, you're just reinforcing reactivity. You're not establishing any kind of engagement at that point. So it's like, take your time, right? Start inside if you need to, and then slowly move out to those other areas like we talked about in that previous podcast. But definitely step 1, very important.
Yeah. And like you kind of alluded to, if you have an area where you can minimize the distraction, like you said, start inside. Start in your yard. Yeah. Minimize distractions so you can at least start the process of building that up. Once you have it built up, then you can go out to your front yard or wherever and continue the engagement work. But again, engagement, the very basic way you're going to do that, once your dog looks at you, you're going to say good, which is marking that behavior. You give them a food reward to reward and reinforce the looking at you, and then you're going to compound that over time. And engagement's going to take more than one day. It's going to take more than one session. So it's going to, give yourself a couple days to just focus on this. Once you have this established, then you can go to the next step. So step number 2 is desensitizing opposition reflex in regards to the leash and training collar on the dog's neck. Now, real quick, you could use any training collar you wanted to. We use a First Saver training collar. You could use a choke chain, a prong collar, a martingale, a flat collar, whatever collar you want. Literally doesn't matter. You're just going to desensitize the opposition reflex. So how you're going to do this, and you've already been doing this a little bit just subconsciously in step number 1 with your engagement work. So once we have our dog wanting to pay attention to us, now we're going to go out to our training area. If you're still working inside, totally fine. If you're working in your backyard, totally fine. If you're working in your front yard, totally fine. It literally doesn't matter. Go out to your training area where you have engagement established, and you're going to put deliberate tension into the leash, which means if your dog's like maybe 4 feet away from you, you're just going to pull on that leash towards you. So there's deliberate tension on the leash, not hard, just light tension. That leash should be tight, light tension moving in your direction. As soon as your dog takes a half step towards you, you say good, you release the tension, you give them a food reward. Mm-hmm. And you're going to repeat that process again. You're going to compound that process until your dog's, as soon as you put tension, your dog's taking multiple steps moving in your direction. So what you're doing is you're teaching your dog, don't pull against this, move with this. Mm-hmm. And the reason why that's working is because as soon as you put the tension on and they take a step towards you, you release the tension, you say good, you reward them, you're reinforcing them moving with the leash. And so you're basically teaching them and their body to habituate moving with that leash. Yep. You know what I'm saying? What do you got on that step, Kevin? Step number 2.
Yeah, don't like yoke them.
Yeah,
just put a little light tension, just enough to where they can just feel it and they're kind of moving into it, and then encourage them to you. But also, as you're doing this again, it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. Mm-hmm. You need to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind. Mm-hmm. Because if you're getting frustrated, you're not going to accomplish anything. Right. Especially in these steps, we want everything to be like that positive, high value reward, multiple rewards, constant reward kind of deal,
right,
so that you can build that behavior up before taking it to other places. So
right,
definitely right frame of mind.
Yeah, like how you said, don't yoke them.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is not for you to pull them to you.
Right.
It's for you to put the signal on, which is the leash,
mm-hmm.
and them to make the decision to move to you.
Yep.
So if you're yoking them, come here.
Yeah, just forcing it.
Right, you're forcing it. It's not going to help build the behavior.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you want them to make the decision on their own,
mm-hmm.
take action on their own to move towards you. That's how you're going to actually desensitize the opposition reflex. If you have like a small dog and you're just pulling them to you, it's not going to work the same way.
Right.
Like when they're making the decision on their own to move towards you with that signal on, the signal of the leash, you're opening up new neural pathways in their brain, which is going to solidify new development of their brain, new development of their muscle memory to actually take action on their own.
Yeah.
Which is what you're going to want in the long term.
Yeah. Even if your dog is slightly good on a leash, it's still good to go through these steps because from like a relationship standpoint, if you're doing this the way that you should be doing it,
mm-hmm.
your relationship's just going to increase tenfold with your dog, which
right.
is always a good thing.
Right.
So.
And even if your dog's overall good on the leash, actually desensitizing opposition
mm-hmm.
reflex really solidifies the fact that the leash is a signal for your dog.
Right.
Right. All right. Step number 3, you're going to build up a reinforcement history of wherever you like your dog to walk in relation to you. So for us, we like our dogs walking on the left side. So we're going to build up reinforcement history on the left side of our body with our dogs walking on that side in relation to us. If you like your dog walking on your right side, do it on your right side. And the way you're going to build up reinforcement history is rewarding your dog on that side of your body wherever you want them to walk, right? So if you want them to walk a little bit behind you, you're going to basically place rewards behind you so they can be rewarded behind you and have a reinforcement history there. With that being said, the way you're going to do that is you're basically, because you've already got opposition reflex done, you've got engagement done, so your dog understands the leash is a signal. So basically, you can start a walk in a straight line. You could do this in your house. You could do it in your backyard, your front yard. You can do it walking around your neighborhood, wherever you like, right, at this point. So you're going to start walking generally in a straight line. If your dog is not where you want them to be, you're going to take your leash. You're going to guide them to wherever you want them, like to your left side. And you're still walking just at a slow pace because you got different things you're doing at the same time. Take your leash, which is a signal, guide them to your left side. As soon as they get there, good, give them a food reward, right? You're going to do that repetitiously until they're just defaulting to that left side or that right side or whatever position you like. The leash should be loose once they're in that position, and you say good, you give them a reward, right? If your dog's struggling to follow your leash, it means your opposition reflex isn't actually desensitized, so you need to work on that a little bit more. But you could also use a food lure them to your left side, for example, reward them as soon as they get there. So you're basically just in your head have like an imaginary box or an imaginary area just on the side of your body, like the left side of your body, for example. Whenever they're in this imaginary box, you're going to say good and reward them. If they start going there on their own, you're going to say good and reward them, right? That means you're not needing to signal them with the leash or a lure because they're going there on their own, which means that it's working. And this step in the whole process would probably take the most time. You're just going to want to spend a lot of sessions and repetitions of just walking a simple walk, straight line. You can do turns and all that too. But at first, you're just focused on if I'm walking in a straight line, the dog should be in this position. You're rewarding them for being in that position, and you're building that up as strongly and as much as you can. Kevin, what else do you have on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's another, like, don't be in such a hurry, because I've seen people try to do this, and they do it in the manner of they want to get the food reward to the dog instead of being focused on the position they want the dog in. So instead of, like, going down, like, the seam of your pants, which would be ideal for a good heel position, they'll go all the way out in front of them, 6 inches to a foot where the dog's at, and just be like, good, be so focused on getting that reward that they're not even reinforcing good positioning.
Yeah.
So let the dog come to you, guide him to you if need be, but make sure that, because wherever you release that food at, that's where we're going to get the reinforcement. If you do it all the way out to the front, 6 inches to a foot, you're just going to have to revisit that later to bring that dog back.
Yeah.
So very important.
Exactly. All right, step number 4. You're going to start reducing your reward schedule. We're aiming to get to random reinforcement schedule. So if you go to our podcast episode 27, that's our podcast on learning theory. We talk about reward schedules, reinforcement schedules in that podcast. So if you want to deep dive on those, you can go to that podcast. But basically, you've got 3 types of reward schedules. You've got your continuous reward schedule, which means you're pretty much giving your dog a reward every time they're doing the thing you want them to do. So for this example, every time they're on your left side, you're rewarding them when they're in the position that you want them in. Like Kevin said, not too far ahead of you, not too far off to the side, only if they're in the position you want. And we're basically continuously rewarding them there to get that reinforcement history established. Now, once that reinforcement history is established, you would start going to what we call a interval reward schedule, which means you're not going to reward them every single time. You might reward them every 3 times, every 5 times, or every 3 minutes or every 5 minutes for duration in that position. You see what I'm saying? So instead of constantly rewarding them, now you're kind of intermittently rewarding them on an interval type schedule. And then once your dog's comfortable with that, you're going to your random reinforcement schedule, which is what we use to maintain behaviors. And that's just how you're going to reward them basically whenever you want. So you might reward them after a minute of walking next to you. You might reward them after 10 minutes of walking next to you in good position, maybe 20 minutes. It's literally just going to depend on you, your preference, how you want to randomize that reinforcement. And also, as you're moving through the continuous interval to the random reward schedules, you can kind of divvy up your rewards. You can do a food reward. You can do a petting reward. You see what I'm saying? If you have a dog that's highly food motivated, you want to start getting that dog used to petting rewards. You're basically going to pet right before you give a piece of food. So you're basically, like when you're in the interval schedule, you're walking, your dog's in good position, you say good, you pet him on the head, then you give him a piece of food right after that. That's basically going to classically condition the petting to equal food in your dog's brain, which teaches them to like the petting just like they like food. Yeah. That way you don't always have to have food with you. You see what I'm saying? So you can get kind of technical with this stuff. We're not trying to get that technical today, but we want to give you guys these steps, these action steps, and this is a big one, because what happens with most people is they get stuck. They get stuck always giving food rewards, right? Which we like food rewards. That's the foundation of training, is we're going to build up behavior by rewarding what we want. But then we have to get away from that. We have to get to that random reinforcement so we can just maintain those behaviors. And that's where most people at home get stuck at. So step number 4, reducing your reward schedule, get to random reinforcement. You have to be conscious of that. You have to consciously always be thinking of that if you're a dog owner or a dog trainer working with your dog. What do you got on that one, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people that when they want to try this at home, especially in the beginning, you're going to be doing a constant reinforcement. So you probably just want to use their food because they're going to be eating a lot of kibble, right? You don't want to give them like 100 peanut butter balls, while you're trying to do
Definitely not a good idea.
Yeah. But as you work down to like that intermittent or that random, it could be beneficial to shift to something more high value, creating the motivation for them to hold that duration along with, waiting for that interval or eventually working down to that random. But in the beginning, definitely kibble just so it doesn't affect them from like a dietary standpoint.
Right.
Because if you're doing good,
Right.
for 10 minutes, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things coming out. So, but later on, shift into those more desirable things, could be extremely beneficial for you.
Yeah. And like you just said, I mean, there's some dogs that need, when we say continuous, they need continuous rewards to get them on the path. Once they're on the path, they're good to go. There's some dogs that you can actually transition into an interval reward schedule pretty quickly, which would be ideal. So, I mean, it's one of those dichotomies, one of those balances. You're always trying to balance out, not shortchanging the continuous reinforcement, but trying to get to that interval as quickly as possible to get off of using so much rewards, right? But again, you got to make sure your dog's foundation is established, that their muscle memory is established before you can get to that random reinforcement schedule. All right, step number 5, we're going to teach accountability with the leash, which means if your dog is, as you've gone through these steps, your dog should be comfortable walking next to you, walking in the position that you want them to be in, walking on a loose leash. But there are going to be times where your dog gets distracted by things, like a squirrel, like that squirrel that's working on its opposition reflex like we talked about earlier, remember? Or the chicken, right? So there's going to be times, no matter what you do, where your dog is going to be distracted. Could be distracted by smells on the ground, could be distracted by squirrels, cats, chickens, whatever. So there has to be some form of accountability to teach your dog that, hey, when we're doing this, you're not allowed to break that position, right? Unless the owner says you can't, which there's going to be times you do that. So accountability with the leash is basically it's going to be like a snap and release or a pop and release of the leash. Think about you're snapping a towel, that kind of motion, just a quick pop release, right? You're not yoking them, you're not dragging them. It's just a quick pop and release just to change their mindset. So the way you're going to teach that is, as you've gone through these steps, your dog's comfortable with the position that they're at next to you. They know to maintain a loose leash. Let's say they go out of position. You just say no, pop and release on the leash. As soon as your dog comes back to their proper position, you say good, you reward them. And what you're teaching them is that, hey, you can't break this position. Once they're back in position, you get the reward. You see what I'm saying? Now, once that process is kind of solidified, where they're responding very comfortably to the leash corrections, you're not going to be rewarding them after a correction every time. You're going to go to that random reinforcement schedule and relation to the corrections as well. But you got to teach that accountability. That's important, right? And just like we have accountability in our lives, you see what I'm saying? Dogs need them in their lives as well. So what do you got on that, Kevin? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, don't be afraid to backtrack. So if you get to this point, or you feel like you're at this point, and you start implementing that accountability, and you notice some undesirable reactions to it, maybe the dog's not exactly clear on, hey, why is this happening? Then we need to go back. We need to build more repetitions to solidify it in their brain and let them know this is where I need you every walk. So don't just do the reinforcement for a day, get to random, hey, he's walking kind of good on a leash, now I'm going to start popping him, because one, you want to maintain the relationship with your dog. You want to be fair, to everything that we do with our dogs. So if you notice those things, you can always backtrack, you can always revisit, you can always go back to engagement just to change up the way that your dog may be viewing the walks, because if you implement that too soon, that's where you're going to get the superstitious association. Right. It could be a less than positive association with you, with the neighborhood, with the walks in general, the time that you do it, whatever the case may be. So you may need to revisit to change it up. So just take your time.
Exactly. I like how you said backtrack. Don't be afraid to, again, it's a dichotomy. It's a balancing act. Yeah. So if you're on step number 5, which is teaching accountability with the leash, maybe you have to go back to step 3, maybe to step 2, and then work your way back up. So don't be scared to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. Take your time. Trust the process, right? And be flexible.
Yeah, it's not a math problem.
Right.
It's a living, breathing being. So.
Right, exactly. I was talking to somebody the other day. I forgot what the context was, but I know that I told them, your dog is not like a Roomba. I have a Roomba, and you have to get on the app. You have to program it to do certain things. It's a robot, so
Yeah.
you can do that. A dog is not a robot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A dog is like you, a living, breathing being. So you have to be able to adapt and adjust some of your protocols sometimes. And you're building up all this stuff. Once you build it up and you get it to where it's literally a habit, then there's no factor because your dog's just used to it at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just unconscious thought.
I think a lot of people be like, well, what's the time frame on it?
No
There is no time frame.
Depends on the dog.
Depends on the dog.
Depends on the owner.
Yep.
Depends on you.
Are you doing this every day, every walk, or some walks you letting your dog kind of screw off,
Right.
and then you're trying to do it on because now you're working against yourself,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So.
Exactly. All right, here's your bonus step for those of you stuck along this long. Bonus step number 6, generalize your loose leash walking. So maybe you've been working on your loose leash walking in your backyard, in your front yard, in your neighborhood. Now it's time to challenge yourself and make your loose leash walking truly bulletproof. And you're going to do that by going to different locations. So some locations I like to go to, local parks. Go to a local park, walk on a park walking trail, work through step 1 through 5 on that walking trail. And usually if you've got it pretty good in your neighborhood, it won't be that much different. You might need like step 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5 you might have to play around with a little bit. After a couple sessions, you should be good to go. Go to a local shopping center, you know, walk around the shopping center. Go to the beach, walk around the beach, you know, places you like to go to with your dog. So generalize your loose leash walking, bulletproof it everywhere you go. Once you get that done, no factor. You know what I'm saying? Kevin, anything to add to generalizing? Bonus step?
No, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. You know, it's probably not going to take as much time as, you know, once you get it pretty solid in the neighborhood, but it could.
Right.
So
Could.
be fluid with it. Because if you go to, like, if you just leave your neighborhood, all right, we've been doing this for a week, everything's good to go, and you go to a farmer's market where it's chaos,
Yeah.
you're probably going to have a hard time. So ease yourself into it. Like Chad said, start at a park, then you can build up from there. And repetition is key. And again, this is good for the relationship. It's good to get your dog out to these places, go through these experiences, you know, kind of mimic these pack dynamics with them and exploration and simulating the hunt and things like that.
Yeah.
But still, ease into it. Don't be like, hey, we've been doing this, we're good to go, let's go do this crazy scenario, because you could just be setting yourself and your dog up for failure at that point.
Right,
you know?
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, that's super important. And, you know, going to different places, too, also works your dog mentally.
Yeah.
So it's going to help you with that mental, physical
they're gonna sleep good
exercise.
after the beach, boys.
That's right, that's right. So just to recap the steps real quick. Step number 1, establish engagement. Remember that engagement is sustained focus on you. Step number 2, desensitize opposition reflex in regards to the leash and training collar on your dog's neck. Remember, we do preserve opposition reflex with the harness. We like our dogs pulling into the harness, but with the collar on the neck, we want the dog to move with the leash, not against the leash. Step number 3, build up a reinforcement history of wherever you like your dog to walk in relation to you. I know me, Kevin, and Ben here, we prefer dogs walking on our left side. Step number 4, reduce your reward schedule. Get to random reinforcement, which means you're going to be randomly rewarding your dog whenever you see fit, and you can change your rewards from food rewards to physical contact to whatever you want. Okay? Step number 5, teach accountability with the leash. Remember, at first you're going to be rewarding after you are teaching that accountability, after you give the leash pop and release, but then you're going to get to that random reinforcement schedule with your accountability as well. Bonus step number 6, generalize your loose leash walking. Go to different places. Go to places that you want to go to. Get your dog comfortable walking there. Get yourself comfortable there, right? Now, when you've accomplished all this, remember at the beginning how we talked about a leash puller can make you frustrated. A loose leash walker is going to help you be calm, confident, relaxed, right? Especially at the beach. So use these steps to teach your dog to loose leash walk. It's going to enable you to actually enjoy your walks with your dogs, right? Because I know if I've got a dog that's pulling on the leash, it's not enjoyable. It's painful, right? But with loose leash walking, now I'm having a good time. Now I can relax. Now if I'm stressed out, I can use the walk to my advantage to help me calm down. You know what I'm saying? So there are a couple troubleshooting things you might need to think about, which people ask us about all the time on social medias, the socials. First one is, what if my dog doesn't take food? Kevin, what's your go-to response to that one?
I'm probably going to reduce or remove their normal feeding schedule then. I'm probably going to attempt to work with them every meal If they're not taking food at first, totally understand that can be a huge change. You know, especially them taking food directly from our hand is could be like a big shift in leadership in their mind, you know, because we're controlling that resource now. But at the end of the day, they're not going to withhold to the point that it's going to do damage to them. It just goes against every basic instinct. So stick with it. They will start taking that food, and once they do, you can build from there. Even if they just take a little bit at a time for each meal, right? It could become part of your ritual. All right, your bowl's over here. Here's a couple pieces in my hand. Once you take these pieces, now you get this bowl, right? Now I can build up later on to where I'm holding the bowl, or now I can have the kibble in my bait bag, and now I can start to work with the training. So it could be a process like that where you just have to really kind of earn the opportunity for them to take the food from you.
Right.
But I would stick with it once you decide to do it, because if you start playing the game to where, oh, it's been a day, I'm kind of worried, which totally fine. But in the natural wild, you know, they go days without food.
Yeah.
You know, and then you start putting the food down. Well, now they're going to start holding out longer, right?
Yeah.
They're going to start playing that game with you.
Right.
So once you commit to it, stick to it, work with them, adjust as you go, but they will take that food from you.
Exactly. And a couple extra tactics to add on to what Kevin said. If your dog's not taking food in your training sessions and now you're trying to feed them their kibble straight from your hand, maybe they're resisting that. A couple things I've done in the past. First of all, I'll just have the food with me in my training area, just drop it on the ground, because sometimes dogs aren't comfortable taking it from your hand at first, especially if it's like a nervous dog. But if I drop it on the ground, they don't have to, they might feel like they have to confront me in my hand to get to the food. So if I drop it on the ground, they don't feel like that, so they'll eat it. So sometimes that works. Also, like we talked about, if you're changing up your feeding schedule, you're not giving them their normal amount of kibble in their bowl where you normally feed them. Maybe you give them a quarter of your normal amount in their food bowl, and then you try to give the rest out of your hand. You know, that way they're still getting some food, but the majority of their food isn't available until they start taking it from you, right? This is not starving your dog. This is not going to hurt your dog. We're trying to get the engagement established. As soon as the engagement is established, then we're good to go. We go back to our normal feeding schedule. The next troubleshooting question that pops up pretty routinely is, what if my dog won't pay attention to me? So you're going out to do your engagement. Your dog absolutely will not look at you. What do you think for that one, Kevin?
I mean, it's like we talked about earlier. You know, you may need to take your time. I may need to go into like a spare bedroom or a laundry room, close the doors, have my dog on a leash, and just sit there and wait. And the second that they look at me, that's when I interact with them. Why? Because I'm the only thing in that environment. You're going to eventually look at me, pay attention to me, whether I say your name, I make a noise, you know, whatever I can build from this. But maybe I need to be in that extremely controlled environment to build up the repetition, and then maybe from, you know, the laundry room or spare bedroom, maybe now I go to the living room where it's more of an open floor plan.
Right.
And there may be more things. There may be Roombas. There may be other dogs, you know, things like that, kids.
Maybe a chinchilla.
Right. You never know. I forgot y'all had chinchillas growing up. But if you start paying attention to me in that environment, I'm like, okay, well, now there's some minor competing motivators in here. So maybe now I can go to the yard. Maybe now I can go to the driveway. Maybe now I can do it on my walks. Another neighborhood, you know, whatever. But you want to slowly build up to that if you're having that issue where they won't pay attention to you.
Yeah. So overall, what you're saying is reduce distractions, which means maybe going to that laundry room, maybe going to that spare bedroom, whatever you have to do to reduce distractions to get the eye contact started with you, and then you can start to incorporate distractions again.
Yeah.
Right. Next troubleshooting question. What if I'm doing all these steps and my dog is still pulling on the leash? What do you do in that case, Kevin?
2 words. More reps.
Exactly. So obviously we need to do more repetition of each step. So if my dog's struggling on the leash, I need to go back to step number 1, restart the whole process. You know, take your time, don't rush it, right? If you take your time and you get each step solidified, your dog won't be a leash puller by the time you finish all steps, even the bonus step.
Even the bonus step.
So good to go. Anything else to add to all this, Kevin?
No,
How
I
to
think
bulletproof your leash walking.
I think it covers, you know, all the bases. You know, it's important for every dog. Even if you don't go through a formal training program, you should get to where your dog can walk on a leash pretty okay, at least.
Right.
because like you said, the constant pulling, it creates tensions, it creates undesirable behaviors later on down the road, anxieties. You're not really accomplishing anything from a structured standpoint. You go on a walk where your dog's pulling and going crazy. Once you come back, yeah, they're going to be sacked out for like 10 minutes, but then that spontaneous recovery is going to happen.
Right.
Whereas if you have like a structured position for them to hold, well, now we're getting physical and mental stimulation. Now it's going to help balance their mindset.
Right.
So even if you're not going to go through a full training program, at the bare bones minimum, what I tell people from basic management, you need your dog good to go in a kennel, you need your dog pretty good to go on a spot, and you need your dog to be able to walk on a leash.
Exactly. And you can go through our Bulletproof series of podcasts, and we're pretty much trying to hammer out all these different high-value behaviors, giving you action steps to take action and get them resolved at home, right? Now, I have like a story from someone that I worked with a couple of years ago. This lady was going to the chiropractor often because her dog was so strong pulling on the leash. You know what I'm saying? Then I remember after she finished training with me, she was walking. She's holding a cup of coffee and had the leash just like wrapped around her body. You know, she just draped it over her shoulder, not even holding on to it. Her dog's walking on her left side, chilling, right? So she went from extreme leash puller to where it was affecting her body big time to being able to walk with a cup of coffee with no lid on it. I mean, that's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? You got a mug. Yeah. You're walking down your sidewalk. You're loud. You're proud. You know what I'm saying? So good to go. I do want to say that Pack Talk Podcast is sponsored by Canine Revolution Dog Training. So if you're having issues with your leash pulling or other behaviors and you want our expert team of professional dog trainers to help you, let us know. You can reach out to us at info@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. And we'll be more than happy to help you guys no matter where you're at. We've trained dogs from all over the country. Pack Talk Podcast is also sponsored by Canine Revolution Apparel. So if you want to be good to go, you can go on Amazon with the link below, get you a good to go shirt. Get you a nice pity shirt like Ben's wearing today, even though you can't see him if you're watching. He's off to the side. And the pitties on Ben's shirt, they're nice. They're Ben's pitties. And the pitties that Ben has under that shirt, they're nice too.
Yeah,
you know,
he's been working on them.
So anyway, we have dog shirts, we have chicken shirts, we have guinea shirts. We have good to go shirts. We have gem shirts. You can go to Canine Revolution Apparel. Check all that out. We have rain jackets. We have mugs. We have water bottles. Rain jackets are nice.
I got to get one.
They're nice. It's rainy season in South Carolina.
It definitely is.
Also, if you want to support America, you can go to Origin USA and Jocko Fuel and get 10% off with promo code SINGER101. Origin USA makes belts, jeans, boots, shorts now, athletic gear. Geese. Roll, train, execute. That's the new athletic line. So you can go to Origin USA, use promo code SINGER101 for 10% off. You can support America. Every product they make is made in America, sourced in America. You see what I'm saying? So it's 100% sourced, made, used in America, made by Americans, for Americans. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't get more America than that.
Best pair of pants you'll ever wear in your life, too.
That's true. That's true. I literally bought Delta 68 jeans for every day of the week, like whenever it's cold.
Oh, yeah.
I threw all my China jeans out because that's what I had before. Now they're just rolling out their shorts. They just released their Raptor camo shorts last night. So I got 2 pairs of those. And then they're coming out with their like black shorts later this month or I think next month. But anyway, when those come out, literally going to replace all my China shorts, throw them all out. So I'll be good to go.
I need some new shorts, so we'll see how it goes.
Jocko Fuel, that's how you're going to support your body. You know, you got the Jocko Go energy drinks, which I'm drinking the mango today. You've also got Milk, which is your protein. You've got creatine, sourced in America, made in America. You've got Jocko Greens. I mean, that's going to give you your micronutrients. You see what I'm saying? You got lots of options. They've also got the Jocko Time War now, which is that longevity, anti-aging support. So again, you can go to jockofuel.com, use promo code SINGER101 for 10% off, and support yourself and support America, because all products are made in America, sourced in America, good for you. See what I'm saying? So get on the train. Milk's good too.
It is good.
You know? The mint chocolate chip, good for like a dessert flavor. You know, vanilla's good for like, you know, protein shake.
I'm a strawberry kind of guy.
Oh, strawberry?
Yeah.
That one's good too.
Yeah.
All right, we're also rolling out the Canine Revolution NFT program. This is our digital certificate. So basically, if you're a Canine Revolution alumni, there's going to be 250 of these available when we first release them, which is going to be in August. And right now we're working with a bunch of local businesses, and we're expanding. So right now we've got lined up DT Mobile Detailing. David. You know David.
Oh, yeah.
Marine Corps veteran.
Good to go, too.
Right? He's definitely good to go. And Erin, one of our trainers, she had her car recently cleaned by him. And I didn't even recognize her car when she pulled into work. She pulled into work. I'm like, who is this? She parked. I'm like, holy cow, it's Erin. And her car, I've never seen it washed before. She had David come out. Brand new car. Looks completely different. I think the color is different.
Yeah, resale value went up at least $1,000 on that.
So check out David, DT Mobile Detailing. If you're part of our digital certificate program, you're going to get some discounts with him. And he comes to you, too, so you can, like, stay at home, take care of your kids. You can walk your dogs. He'll be there washing your car for you at the convenience of your house. You see what I'm saying? Or at your workplace. You can have him come to your work, too.
All he needs is, like, an electrical hookup, right? And
Not
water?
even that. No? I mean, he likes to have that stuff, but he doesn't have
He's
to
got
have
it all.
He's got it all in his van, you know. Sharpshooter pressure wash is the next one. That's technically trainer Chris Tipton. That's technically his brother, technically. But Josh will come out to your house. He'll wash your house. So David will wash your car. Josh will wash your house and your chicken coops if you ask him. So you can hit up Josh, Sharpshooter pressure wash. And you could pressure wash your house yourself, but why would you?
Yeah.
Because you're not an expert at pressure washing your house. Josh is. And he's got the extension cables. He's got the high-power pressure washer gun. He knows how to hit all the little crevices of your house that you would miss if you were doing it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Why would you pressure wash yourself, your house yourself, when you could be taking care of your dogs, taking care of your kids, taking care of your family, prepping some food, taking care of your chickens while Josh does it for you? And if you're part of the Canine Revolution Digital Certificate Program, you're going to get a discount with them. I mean, who can beat that? You know what I'm saying? Next up, All Is Well Somerville. This is basically the origin of dog. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically the Jocko Fuel of dog stuff. I mean, it's good for your dog, right? They only carry products that are good for your dog. So you can go to All Is Well in Somerville off of Old Trolley Road. If you're part of the digital certificate program, they're going to be giving you some discounts, some perks. But you can get things that are good for your dog, good for your cats too. You can get your dog groomed there. You can get your dog washed there, whatever you want. You can get an allergy test for your dog, which Ben recently got. Did you do it yet? Huh? It's in the mail. So they got the allergy test. Basically, you pull a couple of your dog's hairs, you put it in the mail. They'll mail you a full report on everything your dog's allergic to, which then you can like kind of finalize things with your dog, help them be good to go.
Mosquitoes for sure, huh?
Definitely mosquitoes. Definitely mosquitoes. Another business we're working with is Bob, Carolina Premier Inspections and Pest Control. So if you need your house inspected or if you need some pest control done on your house, your property, Bob can help you out. And you don't get better than Bob. You know what I'm saying? If there's a problem with your house, Bob's going to find it. And I usually will have him come out every 5 years just to re-inspect the house, just to give me an update, which he's got to come out next year for my 5-year inspection. You know what I'm saying? Pest control, too. You want your house taken care of. You don't want to wake up to cockroaches and spiders in your house. That's not good to go. So you need chickens in your yard to maintain the defense in your yard, and guineas. And then you need Bob and his team to take care of your house inside. So you're good to go. You see what I'm saying? So you can't beat that. Carolina Premier Inspections and Pest Control, we're going to be partnering with them. If you're part of the digital certificate program, you're going to be getting some discounts with them. You know what I'm saying? The best in the business. We're also working with the Velasquez company. This is Antonio and his crew. Antonio, good dude, right? I met him at the gym. He's a get after it kind of guy.
He's been taking off lately, hasn't he?
The gym?
No, I mean just like with his company.
Seems
like
he's talking about like getting busy? Yeah, he's been getting super busy. So like they primarily do painting. They'll do drywall repair. They've done all of our fencing out here. I mean, lots of fencing. Lots of fencing. They've taken care of it. They've painted it.
Yep.
You know, so you ask them, they can probably do something for you. They've even done like the epoxy on our floor. So you can ask them. They'll help you out. Velasquez Company. If you're part of the digital certificate program, you get some discounts with them. You know what I'm saying? Can't get better than that. Black Force MMA. Me and Kevin were just there yesterday training jiu-jitsu. And Kevin banged up my shin. Still sore.
Banged up my eye socket.
We were doing jiu-jitsu. We did some basic repetitions, and we did some live rolling. And that's where Kevin crushed my shin. So
all's fair in the takedown, boys.
So anyway, good times. The good thing about MMA is it's fitness too.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're getting that cardiovascular fitness. You're training a little bit of strength in ways you can't train with weights. You know, because when you're live rolling, whether you're a woman or a man, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I was rolling with Kelly yesterday too, and she's strong.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm using strength. I'm using cardiovascular to do that jiu-jitsu practice at MMA. It's a good time, good workout. You know, and also forces you to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So it works on that flexibility and forces you to be in close contact with other people, which helps you be ready for close contact with other people.
Yeah.
You know?
Instead of that adrenaline spiking and you panicking.
Exactly.
You know, in a normal street altercation, you got the repetition.
Exactly.
Just go through the motions.
Exactly. Owner of Black Force MMA is Dwight Decker. We did a podcast with him. He's also in the MMA Hall of Fame. So you can check out Black Force MMA if you're a digital certificate holder. Again, you get that discount, right? We're hooking you up. Right, but they're in Ladson. You can check them out. Also, we're working with Cane Bay Chiropractic. Doc Anthony is going to help keep your nervous system, your spine in check. And Lanzara Defense Solutions, which is Doc Anthony's CWP and defensive pistol courses.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tap into both of those with our digital certificate program. And we're working on some more, but that's what we got going right now. And as this program continues to flourish, we're going to keep building it, right? Keep helping people, keep supporting the community. So if you're a business owner and you want to get involved in this, you can hit us up. We'll be more than happy to partner with you. And what we're looking for in the future is to help expand this across the country, because what we want to do is bring together locals to support each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, at different places around the country. Some other things you can check out on the Pack Talk Podcast YouTube channel, exclusive. I did a guest speech at one of Antonio's events. You know, we talked about him earlier, the Velasquez company. He's starting to hold little events here and there to support people. So he asked me to be a guest speaker to talk about one of my favorite things, discipline, right? Ben was there. And so if you want me to be a guest speaker at your event, just email me, Chad Singer at caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. We can set that up. If you want to hear that speech, you can go to YouTube, Pack Talk Podcast. You can listen to that, check that out. If you're a business owner and or if you're a dog trainer, maybe you need some coaching. Maybe you need a consultant. You can email me. You can talk to me. We'll talk about it, right? Chad Singer at caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. But other than that, we want to thank our military. You guys are out there supporting us. We want to thank our first responders. They're in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the military deploys, they deploy typically away from their town, away from their city. When first responders go on shift, they're working in their town, in their city. I mean, that's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we want to thank you guys for what you do. We support you guys, and teachers too. I mean, teachers are helping to support the upcoming generations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? From kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, all the way even to college, you know? So thank you guys for what you do. Thank you for your support. If you need dog training, we're here to support you guys as well, right? So just reach out to us. And as always, please rate us. Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform. Please send us feedback. You can send feedback to our info@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com email. You can send it to Ben Singer at caninerevolutiondogtraining.com email. You can send it to me, Chad Singer, caninerevolutiondogtraining.com email, or you can message us on your favorite social media platform. We do appreciate all feedback. We do take it into account. If there's something you want us to talk about, we like talking about it, right? So please rate us. Please subscribe. Please let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. We like them all. And if you want to follow us, we're on the socials too. We're at Canine Revolution Dog Training on every social platform. Ben is at Big Boy Jabba on Instagram. I'm Chad.Singer13. Kevin is Hellbilly Heathen. You're still in that one?
Yeah.
All right. That's a good one. Anyway, you can reach out to us if you have questions.
It's low key. He's like, change it.
No, I like it. I like Hellbilly. You know, for a while, I thought it was Hillbilly. And then I realized it was Hellbilly. I was like, oh, yeah, I like that. So anyway, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for your support. And until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast, out.